morning, guys, or good evening should I say. Welcome to today's vlog. It is actually the morning. This morning it's late morning, early lunch, and I thought today I'd do a pregnancy kind of update Q&A. I did a question box on my Instagram stories, Sarah Ingham official, if you're not already following me, and loads of you guys had questions. I weren't sure if any of you would actually have any questions, but there were so many I'm not going to be able to answer all of them in this video, but I am going to answer as many as possible. Need to try and keep them to a minimum. Some of them I've already thought about what I'm going to say and they're quite long answers, so I need to try and rein myself in for sure. I can't get used to this camera. I'm sorry, but it's just not the one. I don't know how I'm framed in the shot, because on this camera you just have like a tiny little screen at the front here that I can see, and it doesn't show the whole thing. It's just kind of a zoomed in version, and it's really blooming. It makes you look edited, like it makes my face look like wax on the viewfinder here. It's not the one and I can't get used to it. Anyway, let's get into the video. Let's get into it. So I'm currently in my third trimester. I can't believe it. This pregnancy has gone so fast. Like, I feel like it's definitely felt like my fastest pregnancy. It feels like we found out I was pregnant like yesterday, and I have a few days left and I'm 30 weeks. Literally single weeks left, counting down 9, 8, 7. I can't believe it. She'll be here before we know it. It kind of feels like still long away because it's like mid-October. It feels like October still feels like a long time away, especially because everyone's just broke up for summer. But because we've been on this trip, I feel like our summer started ages ago. So I feel like summer's coming to an end right now. It's not, obviously. Well, I guess that's where you are in the world right now. I've heard that England, the UK, is not having much of a summer right now. But just for me personally, I feel like summer's coming to an end and it should be like coming up to autumn time. And I can't believe it. She's going to be here before we know it. But yeah, I'm coming up to 30 weeks in a few days time and I'm feeling blooming great. I don't feel like there's much of an update that I can give that without answering like all of your guys' questions. I did briefly mention on a vlog a few days ago that a few symptoms that I've got, I keep saying to Chris, unless she's moving, I don't even feel pregnant. Like, it's crazy. And she does move a lot, just to point out. But a few symptoms that have popped up over the last week or so, one showing its little head right now, is breathlessness. I haven't really struggled with breathlessness this pregnancy until now. I definitely think it's mainly like her positioning and how she's laying, but I've really noticed in the last week or so that I've been really out of breath, even just talking, like right now. And also I can be really blooming hungry, but I eat like 5 chips and I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I get full really quickly. I do know they're really common pregnancy symptoms in the third trimester, so it's like nothing to worry about or anything like that. I kind of expected them, but yeah, they've definitely shown. And one other symptom that I've had a lot of this pregnancy, and I've not spoken about it at all, is stretching pains. Now, I had stretching pains probably with all of my pregnancies, but never like I've had with her, with this pregnancy. They've been pretty much daily for like the last 20 weeks or something. I have had them checked out. They're definitely stretching pains. I don't need anyone to like diagnose what it could be. I know they're stretching pains, but they are so severe and so strong, and they completely take my breath away. Like, I can't move, I can't talk, I can't concentrate, I can't eat, I can't do anything when they're there. And they do only last about 10 minutes, like 10 minutes probably the longest, but they are the worst 10 minutes, and I can feel it coming on and I'm like, no. It's usually on one side. It's never one side more than the other. Either side affected just the same. But it honestly feels like having a hot rod poked into all of your nerves and muscles, or it feels like someone's holding on to one of your muscles and just twisting it as hard as they can, stretching it. It's the most awful burning pain, and I've had that a lot this pregnancy, way more than my other pregnancies. Again, if you follow me on Instagram or you're part of some Facebook groups that I'm part of, then you'll know that I've suffered with quite a lot of fluid retention and swelling this pregnancy. 100% convinced it's to do with us travelling and the heat. I have some of the questions actually that I've asked on Instagram. Quite a lot of you guys have said, I'm a doctor, you need to go be checked. So just for anybody that's concerned or anything like that, I have already been checked. It's completely normal. Blood pressure, everything is clear, fine. There's no concerns at all. The swelling and fluid retention is just normal pregnancy related due to the heat. Just for anybody that's just going to take that as fact, if you're suffering with swelling, not everyone's the same. Swelling, especially in like hands and face, especially if combined with headaches, visionary problems, it can be a sign of preeclampsia, which is very dangerous. Eclampsia is very dangerous. So if you do have preeclampsia, you do need to be seen and treated straight away. High blood pressure, etc, etc. But it doesn't always mean that. It is also just a normal pregnancy symptom, especially if you're in hot countries. I feel great. I don't have any headaches, any high blood pressure, any visionary, any protein in my urine, blah, blah, blah. I don't have any of that. Any swelling should be checked out, which is why I got checked out. But for me, it is absolutely just normal swelling. So that's another symptom I've got. I'm not... One thing that surprised me this pregnancy, I don't know if my bladder has like stretched or something, but I have not needed to go, this is TMI probably, for pees constantly. I've never ever once woken up in the night to go to the toilet. Never. And it's sure, and I keep waiting for it. I'm like, I'm sure during early pregnancy, like the early days, you constantly need to go to the toilet. And I'm sure it maybe eases off, but I'm sure when you get into the third trimester, you like constantly need to go. Nope. Not at all. Absolutely nothing. I'm not excessively peeing. Maybe that's the heat again, like I say. But everything's just great in that area. Lots of you guys have asked questions about how are you sleeping. It must be really difficult sleeping in the heat. It must be so difficult sleeping in a van. It must be so difficult sleeping with a massive bump. I'm sleeping blooming great. I don't wake up at all during the night unless it's to turn over, which is usually only like twice. Obviously I have to sleep on my side. I usually sleep on my tummy. So I wouldn't necessarily wake up to turn over during the night. I just like turn my head the other way, But when you're pregnant, you've got a bump, you can't do that. So I'm sleeping on my side. I have to like literally lunge my belly over the other way to turn around. So I do wake up to turn over. But aside from that, no, nothing, no aches, no pains, no back pain, no hip pain, no pelvic pain. There was a question asking if I suffer with pelvic pain. No aches or pains or nothing at all. I feel really smug saying that because I know that I'm really, really lucky. I did suffer with back pain with Isla, but I've honestly had nothing this pregnancy at all that's made it difficult. It's been really, really easy. I'm sleeping great. I'm having no pains at all. And yeah, I just feel really blooming lucky. Okay, now I've got up some questions that I received on Instagram, so I'm going to answer a few of those. Sorry, so I was just reading a couple. Have you ever had to do the gestational diabetes test? Yeah, I have. I have done that test during, I think, Jace and Mila's pregnancies, and they always comes back negative. I've never suffered with gestational diabetes. Another question that I've got a lot, like this is like every third or fourth question, is how are you traveling so much and not being seen, or how are you not seeing midwives, or how are you not getting this checked, why are you missing so many appointments, etc, etc. So I thought that'd be a really good one to answer. I haven't actually missed any appointments up until this week, and I haven't missed that, I rescheduled it. But when you are pregnant with your second or third baby, when it's not your first pregnancy, you don't get seen as much as you do with your first. And I think my last midwife appointment was like 16 weeks. Was it 16 to 18 weeks? Something like that. And then I had my 20-week scan, which I had at home. And then we left for this trip when I was 23 weeks. And I weren't due another appointment until my bloods between 28 and 29 weeks, which was this week. And I'm also due a scan this week, but I knew that we'd be away for that appointment. So before we came away, I asked the hospital, when I went in for an appointment, I asked the hospital, I'm going to be away for that. I can get back if it's absolutely necessary that I need it at that time, but if not, can I reschedule for a week later? And they were like, yeah, it's fine, just reschedule for a week later. Whew. So I haven't missed any appointments at all. My midwife called me the other day, and she said she just double checking on what date I was back. I told her the date we had in mind, and she said that she's probably just going to do my blood test at the hospital, so she'll just get the hospital, because I've already got my scan appointment through for that when we get home. And she said, well, if it's okay for you, I might as well just get the hospital to do your bloods, and then I'll ring you on that day as well and arrange for you to come in the week after, because there's no point going in. So loads of people think that I'm missing loads of appointments. I haven't missed any at all, not one single appointment. I did go and get my blood pressure and everything checked when I had the swelling, but that was just my own for my own peace of mind. It wasn't because I were missing appointments. So I haven't actually missed Any. Okay, I've had a question saying, do you plan on breastfeeding, baby girl, or is there anything you plan to do differently regarding breastfeeding? This is going to be a long... This leads on to so many other questions that I got, and I'm kind of going to have to roll them all into one question because it kind of doesn't make sense to like do them all separately. So I do plan on breastfeeding. Long story short, I hope that breastfeeding goes well this time round again. I really struggled with Jace. He was my first what I'd class as a successfully long breastfeeding journey. I breastfed Jace exclusively for 10 months, and then I still breastfed him until about 15 months, something like that, but he had a nighttime bottle. Mila was my longest. I breastfed her exclusively until about 19 months when I was so ready to be done. I was so ready to be done, and she dropped breastfeeding by herself. I do plan on breastfeeding, but every baby is different, and I am well aware of that. Every baby is different. I hate talking about breastfeeding because I really want to say my views and things, and it always causes like such a lot of tension amongst women, and I don't like that, and people always get really defensive if you say like the wrong thing or you word something differently, or they just don't like what you're saying basically. But every baby's different, and I want to breastfeed because scientifically it is the best thing you can give your baby if you're able to breastfeed. I'm not getting into the whole but formula's just there's nothing wrong with formula. I formula fed my first 3 girls. Isla I breastfed for 10 weeks, then I moved to formula. Isabel a couple of weeks formula, and Esmé a couple more weeks and formula. So they were all mainly formula fed, and there's nothing wrong with formula feeding. It's not going to damage your baby. If you're happy and your baby's happy, everyone's happy. Absolutely 100% agree with that. But scientifically, if I could choose what I wanted my baby to have and it had no effect on anyone else and it had no effect on me, I'd want to give them breast milk because it's I hate saying it's best because it gets people's backs up, but it's what Mother Nature intended. It's why it's created, and if I can give my baby something that's natural like that, then I want to over formula. That doesn't mean to say everybody wants to. I'm just saying that's what I would like to do. I once read, I was reading on a thread a big argument that broke out about breast is best and fed is best and all these different things that all these women were arguing about, and I do follow quite a lot of that because I'm on quite a lot of breastfeeding groups, and I'm on quite a few on Facebook groups of women that often bring up conversations like this. In fact, there was a debate the other day that somebody put up breast is best, discuss, and I was like, oh no, that's not going to end well. And I read on there a point that somebody had made, and I've never really thought of it like this, but somebody said it's not exactly the same as breastfeeding, but it's similar. So somebody said not everybody can eat for dietary requirements, food aversions, because they don't like it, because they don't want to. Not everyone can eat fresh fruit and vegetables, or drink goodness that comes from things made from fresh fruit and vegetables, and so instead they'll take vitamins. And vitamins are great because vitamins give you everything that you need and the nutrition and things like that, but it's still a vitamin, it's still not the fresh fruit and veg. And they related that, I'm wording this all wrong, the way she worded it made sense. The way I'm wording it sounds terrible, but she worded it in a sense that formula's come along so much over the last decade or so, and there's loads of goodness and things that your child gets out of formula, but it's still not exactly the same as breast milk, you know, like a vitamin's not exactly the same as fruit and vegetables, but it's a really good substitute. Guys, I hope you get the gist of what I'm saying. You do what you want to do. My personal opinion is I would like to breastfeed, but I understand that every baby's different. Jace didn't take to breastfeeding very well. He had to tongue tie. Mila took to it amazing from day one. I didn't even have a single cracked sore nipple with Mila. So yeah. That question also leads on to someone asking if we'll co-sleep again. With Jace, just very, very quickly and briefly, I breastfed him exclusively until about 10 months. Then I was done. I was like, I'm so shattered. I'd not slept in 10 months because breastfed babies do tend to be up a lot during the night, in my experience anyway. I'd not slept in like 10 months, and I just said to Chris, I'm just absolutely shattered. So what we did with Jace was different to Mila. So Jace co-slept, but I'd breastfeed him, put him down in his side by me crib. Then when he woke up the first time in the night, then I'd bring him in bed with us, breastfeed him back to sleep. And when I decided at about 10-11 months that I weren't doing that anymore, I breastfed him to sleep as usual. And then when he woke up in the night, Chris had got a Tommy Tippy prep machine thing. He made up a bottle, fed Jace the bottle in his crib. So he just put his hand under his head to support him, fed him the bottle. Jace fell back asleep. Chris went back to sleep. I went back to sleep. That's how we got Jace kind of into a nighttime routine. And Jace woke up maybe twice during the night doing that, and then as he got a bit older, he slowly stopped waking up during the night and slept all night in the Side by Me crib, and then we transferred him to his own bedroom in his own cot. It's getting a bit hot in here, guys. Mila, on the other hand, Mila never went in her Side by Me crib. She absolutely hated it. Perfect breastfeeder, but hated sleeping in her Side by Me crib. It was just a no. So breastfed her in bed co-sleeping for 19 months, and there was no nighttime through the bottle, no bottle through the night at all with her. So yeah, I just said Jace was exclusive breastfed till, oh no, yeah, ignore me, I'm rambling. So she just gradually started, I think it was on the van trip actually in February, she gradually just started to sleep through the night, wake up once or twice. And so when we got home from the van trip, can't remember if we did it on the van trip or if we waited till we got home, but I said to Chris, let's just put some warm cow's milk, because you're obviously over a year old by this point, in a bottle instead of me breastfeeding her, and see if she'll go to sleep with that. We still did her nighttime routine the same. She's still got like either a bath or a sink wash, brush her teeth, read a book, put the white noise machine on. We did everything exactly the same. Lights out, pitch black, good night. But instead of me breastfeeding her, I gave her a bottle of cow's milk, and she just took it straight away. She just drank the cow's milk. She sat up and I was like, uh-oh, passed me the bottle and went, oh, done, or whatever she'd said at the time, and lay down and went to sleep. We did that in our bed for about 4 nights, popped her in her own bed, and that's how Mila got into her nighttime routine. So with regards to co-sleeping in this baby, I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe she'll be like Jace and like to be in the Side by Me crib, or be happy to be in there. Maybe she'll be like Mila and just will have none of it. I don't feel like you can really plan with things like that. This question also rolls into, will she be sharing a room with Mila, or will you be doing a nursery? There's quite a lot of questions about that. The plan was to put this baby in with whichever gender it was, a sibling. So if it was a boy, we're going in with Jace. If it was a girl, we're going in with Mila. We've changed our mind on that recently for a few reasons. We have a spare bedroom. Like, we've got a bedroom right there that's not been used. It is the smallest of the 7 bedrooms that are actually in our house, aside from the garage that can convert into 2 other massive bedrooms. But just in the house, it's the smallest of the 7 bedrooms, but you can still fit full fitted wardrobes the whole way around the room, which is what we've got. You could still put a super king size bed in there with bedside tables, so there's no real reason why we can't change that into a small nursery for the new baby. The room is currently used as like a dressing room, and somewhere it's got like I don't think we've even showed that room before, but it's somewhere we've got my dressing table. I don't use it. It's like so pointless. I don't use that room, so we've decided we will be changing that room into a nursery. I can't decide if to go for a cot in that room or a bed. With Jace, he had a cot. With Mila, I didn't bother with a cot. She co-slept for too long, and so we just ended up buying her a floor bed, which I absolutely love. Saved money as well. So I feel like I might want to wait until the baby's here to see how she sleeps, whether I buy a cot or buy a floor bed for her. But we will be decorating that when we get back home, which I'm really excited about. And we'll be doing, I've got so many cute ideas and things that I'd like to do in there. And we will obviously be vlogging that process. I'm just doing these long questions, getting them out of the way. Someone's also asked, are you doing it? What's your birth plan? Quite a lot of you have asked, what's the birth plan? Quite a lot of you have asked, did you not think about having a home birth? Quite a lot of you have asked, have you thought about water birth? Quite a lot of you have asked, is Chris the only one that's going to be there? So I'm going to try and quickly answer all of those in one. My birth plan this time is to still go into hospital. Did I think about a home birth? Yes, I definitely thought about it for about 3 seconds. And the reason I was against a home birth is because of how many young children I've got. I feel like if it was like a first or second or third baby, or it was just a 4th baby with the 3 older girls, it would be different. But I don't like the thought, I don't know how long my labour's going to be. And I don't like the thought of me being in a room in pain, like you are when you're in labour, and Jason and Mila wanting to come to me and having to say, no, you can't come to mummy. But then maybe if I'm shouting, or, you know, women make noise during labour, if I'm doing that and they're nervous or worrying and wanting to come for security to me but they can't, I just feel so, I know it'd just put more pressure on me, basically. It's okay, the girls been like, well, the girls are old enough to take them off half an hour. Yeah, they are, but not for like half a day if I was to be in labour for hours and hours and hours. And if they were to hear me being in pain and they wanted to come to me, I just feel like, number one, it'd make me feel guilty, and number two, it'd make them feel insecure and nervous and wonder what's going on. And I just don't feel like, for me personally, it's right to have a home birth with the children at home, so I'm going into hospital. This next statement's probably going to sound crazy to so many of you, but I actually like the hospital experience. I like the calm that you get after you've given birth, and it's just you and your husband or your partner or your boyfriend or your mum or your sister or whoever you're choosing to take in to your birthing experience with you, and you can get the baby ready all quietly and nice, and you can have your cup of tea, and you know, you've got this new bundle of joy. You can really just concentrate on your brand new baby. Whereas if I was at home, everyone would be jumping in, everyone would want to hold her. I just don't think there'd be that special moment, you know, that you really just take in this newborn baby all on your own. No offence to anyone who wants home birth, and I'm not saying it's the same for everyone. I'm just saying this is just my opinion. So that's the reason I didn't want a home birth. Have you ever thought about a water birth? I would love a water birth. I wanted a water birth with all of them. I know with Isla I was desperate for one, but I was induced with her due to her heart rate and low movement, so I couldn't have one with her. With Jace, I wanted a water birth, but I decided nope, I needed the epidural and I needed it right now. With Mila, I wanted a home birth. I didn't have the epidural with Mila, so I could have gone in the birthing pool, but my labour suddenly started moving really quickly, and I was paralysed in pain. I get like paralysed in pain, like the nurses and midwives, I can remember saying to me, sit up the bed a bit, and I was like, I can't move. I felt like I was paralysed in contractions, and she was like, you wanted to go in the birthing pool, didn't you? I was like, no, I don't want, I can't move. I'm going to try and be a bit more in control this time if I can, and I would love to have a water birth. Who knows though? I don't know how the birth's going to go. Nobody does, you know, how long or how quick or any complications, but I would love to have a water birth. What was the other question? Is Chris going to be the only one in the delivery room with you this time? Probably, is what I'm going to say. All of my labours have happened at midnight. Between 11 p.m. and midnight is when I've gone into labour. Isabelle would really like to be there at this labour. I did say she could be there with Mila, but she didn't feel like it was something she wanted to experience. She has said this time she would like to be there, but it really does depend on the time of day that I go into labour. If it's going to be like midnight or the middle of the night, or a time where we've got like a couple of people that will come round and watch the older and younger children, should I say, but that will depend on the time that I go into labour. If it's the middle of the night, I'm not going to start ringing neighbours and friends to come round. Isabelle is more than capable to look after them. If it's during the afternoon or evening or something like that, maybe a decision has not been made 100%. We've not worked out like the logistics and things, but there is a chance that Isabelle may be there. Esmé is not very happy about it. Esmé is like set in her way. She's like, no, you can't. We always like to be at home and see the baby for the first time together. But I don't know. I feel like it's an experience that would be really nice for Isabelle to experience, but who knows? I don't know. She might be there. She might just be me and Chris again. A few people saying you look so relaxed this time round. Do you feel it? I actually do. I feel great. Like I said, I don't really even feel pregnant. Even though we're travelling around and, you know, we're up doing things most days, I still just feel really good. I just feel great. A lot of people saying, which was the hardest part? What's been the hardest part of this pregnancy? Did you suffer from morning sickness? A blooming horrendous morning sickness up to about 15 weeks. I struggle with morning sickness. I have done with all of my children. Really, really bad. Now there is severe hyperemesis where you get admitted to hospital. I've never been that stage. I feel like I've been just the one below it. Like literally just the one below it, because with this pregnancy I was definitely the most physically sick, like multiple times a day, every single day up until 15 weeks. Someone else has always also asked, does everyone get it? Nope, some women don't get it at all. Some women just feel a bit nauseous. Some women physically are sick, and some women get it severe. It's different for absolutely everyone. A few people asking, is this definitely your last baby? 100 million %. And I know that none of you are probably going to believe that until time, because I have said that with the last 2 pregnancies. This pregnancy feels different to me. It feels different because I know this will be our last pregnancy, and I'm already sad about, I'll never do another 20 weeks again, or I'll never get, the baby's not even here yet, and I'm already sad about the milestones that have gone by, and I've still got so many more to go. But I know this is the last pregnancy. Someone's also asked if Chris has had the snip yet. No, he hasn't, but that is only because they won't do it whilst I'm pregnant. And I know when I said this before on Instagram, loads of people started arguing, saying that's a load of rubbish. It's not a load of rubbish. It's not at all. I don't know if it's different with different doctors or or if it's just, I don't know. But we have been told that Chris could not have the snip done whilst I'm pregnant. And the reason that I was given was because whilst I'm pregnant, we clearly want another child. And until you've got that child in your arms, anything can happen, I guess, is what they were insinuating. And therefore, Chris wouldn't want to have the snip. So he will be having it done, just when I'm not pregnant anymore. Somebody wants to know a name hint. I can't really give name hints. I feel like there's not really a hint that I could give, but I will say that this baby has 2 names. She has 2 names. She has her, because me and Chris both, my favourite name is different to Chris's favourite name, basically. But they're both quite similar, as in you can't use one as a first name and one as a second name, because it would just sound stupid. But you could potentially use one as a name and then one as a nickname. So that's what we've gone for. That's a hint, right? Let me try and think of one that's not the name. So say, for example, if Chris really liked Samantha and I really liked Sam. You couldn't call your child Samantha Sam, right? Or Sam Samantha. No offence to anyone that's called that. But you could call them Samantha and then call them Sam as a nickname. That's your hint. That's the only hint I'm giving. And lots of people are asking when will we find out our name. We've never revealed a name until the baby's born, because I just feel like when your baby's here, you could change your mind. When you see them, I've changed my mind loads of times. I have gone back to the original one that I liked, but I do change my mind often or question whether it's definitely the right one. So we definitely not reveal her name until she's here. Someone's asked any weird cravings. I've had none. Haven't had any cravings at all. I feel like ice might start to become a craving. I had ice in my drink the other day and I just really liked crunching the ice. I'm not craving it. And pickles, I know some people have laughed about pickles. I wouldn't say I'm craving pickles, but I have enjoyed crunching them and eating them. But not had any cravings at all. There's been a couple of questions actually that's couple rolled into one. Number 1, do you wish your age gap between all 6 of your children was smaller? And number 2, do you feel guilty about not being able to give one-on-one time with so many children? So I think this is a great question to answer together. Number 1, I keep thinking someone's here. Number 1, no, I don't wish the age gap was smaller, because if the age gap was smaller, I feel like I'd feel guilty not being able to give all my attention to each child. Because my age gaps are so big between my younger 3 and my older 3, it means that I can play with my younger children during the daytime when the girls are doing their schoolwork and their own thing anyway. And then when the younger 3 are settling down for the evening, this one's not here obviously, but when they're settling down for the evening, or they're having their evening bath, or you know, Chris is reading story time or something like that, then I can go up to the girls and I can spend that one-on-one time with them. Whereas I feel like if they were all the same age, it would be so much harder. So much harder. Also because younger children have more, they need you more. They need you to do things for them more. They need that playtime. Older girls don't need that. If they want to make themselves a sandwich at lunchtime, they can just go make themselves a sandwich at lunchtime. Or, you know, if they want to talk about, you know, boys or friends, they can do that on an evening when I'm completely able to give them my full attention because the other 2 are either in bed or with Chris or whatever. So I feel like because there's that age gap, it makes it easier for me to give them all my attention when they need it. The only thing that I do feel guilty about is the first like 3 months when you have a baby, because that baby, the newborn, does take up so much of your time, especially if you're breastfeeding. And I felt guilty with Jace and I felt guilty with Mila, and I know I'll feel guilty even more so with this one because there's more of them. So I know in the first couple of months I'll definitely feel that guilt when I'm stuck to the sofa breastfeeding most of the day, but I know that that time passes so quickly. And it is also such a really special time as well. So because it is the last time I'll ever experience that, I do want to really try and treasure it a bit more instead of just feeling horrendous the whole time. But yeah, I think those 2 questions rolled into one are quite adapt and quite make sense basically, and explain why I don't want them closer together in age. How many months are you now? 7? Think almost 7 months. Are you going to travel home before you give birth? Absolutely, we're traveling home like very soon. Is everything okay? Everything's absolutely great. Any false contractions? None. I suffered really bad with Braxton Hicks with Mila. I had them a lot throughout and the second, even the later stages of the second trimester and the third, but I've had nothing this time. Quite a lot of people asking about the gender. We did a gender reveal, I'll leave it in the description box down below, but we are having a girl. Quite a lot asking if I know if she'll be early or late. I've got no idea. I've got absolutely no clue. Isabelle Esmé, 7 days late. Isla, 4 days late, but she was induced. Jace, 8 days late. Mila, 4 days early. So, no idea. Quite a lot of people are asking about Mila's reaction and what do I think her reaction is going to be, and is she excited for a sibling? Does she quite know what's going on? I don't think she knows what's going on, to be honest, personally. I feel like if I say to her, like, what's in my tummy, she'll say, baby sister. Or she'll come over on a night time and she's so loving, like she closes her eyes, it's so cute, she'll close her eyes, put her head on my belly and go, baby sister. So she knows baby sister's in there, but I don't think she portrays that as an actual baby coming into her life forever. So I think her reaction will be epic, like Jace's was when he met Mila for the first time, but I don't think right now she fully understands what baby sister in mummy's tummy means. Quite a lot of you guys have said that you're normally buying cute outfits and things during pregnancy. Have you bought anything? If so, can you do hauls when you get home? I hadn't bought actually that much before we came away. I'd bought mainly things like Christmas outfits and Halloween outfits that I'd got in the sale. I have actually done a bit of shopping whilst we've been away. I did a massive next order when the sale was on a few weeks back. Thank you to my 2 lovely neighbours that very kindly went and picked up my order. One neighbour went and collected my order and they only gave a half, which is so frustrating because the other half was going to get sent back. And when it's a sale, you can't just reorder. I felt really guilty asking her to go back again and pick it up, so I didn't. I asked another neighbour. I was like, I'm going to have to ask this other, and then the other neighbour was like, yeah, I'm going there anywhere later to pick up a Tesco's food shop, so I'll grab it for you. So thankfully, with those 2 orders collected and my sister, I got one delivered to her home. I've got quite a big haul from Next to do when I get home. And then I've also bought so much stuff from Vinted. Oh my gosh, I'm addicted to going on there every single day. So frustrating because the card that's connected to my Vinted is one that's on Chris's phone. Like, he's got it connected to his phone. So I'm constantly like getting security checked, is it? Where you try and make an order and it's like, we've just sent a pin to your phone. And it always goes to Chris's phone and Chris is like, why is it asking me for another pin? I'm like, just tell me the pin, please. What's the pin? I'm like, you need to take that off your phone. I feel like I have to ask you every time I want to buy something. But, oh, I'm going to have to show you. I bought this outfit the other day. Let me show you guys. It's so cute. How cute is this outfit? Oh my gosh, because it's going to be autumn time. So it's going to be chilly maybe. Oh my gosh, this is the cutest outfit I've ever seen. I got that on Vinted and it's just absolutely adorable. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. I've ordered quite a few bits off Vinted. I will do a haul when we get back home. Okay, just really quickly, when did you start feeling movements with your babies? All different. Mila and this baby have been a lot later. I know with Mila I was told it was because my placenta was at the front, which can hide movements. This one's not got the placenta at the front, it's at the side, but I am heavy and fatter, bigger than what I was with previous pregnancies. So maybe that's a reason why. I'm not sure. I don't know if weight plays a part, but I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that it does. So I was quite late feeling it in this pregnancy and I just put down to that me having more weight around my stomach area. But they've all been different. I was really early with Isla, I feel like it was. I'm sure it was about 13 weeks or something like that when I could feel movement with her. Did you ever believe from a young age you would have a large family? No, I didn't. I never in my wildest dreams thought I'd have two children. And then we got a beautiful little surprise with Mila, which was perfect. And then I just thought I was done then. I thought that was it. But I wouldn't change it for the world. I love it. I love having a big family. What time of year did you find best for being pregnant and having a newborn? I mean, you're pregnant for 9 months. It's pretty much a whole year no matter what time of year you get pregnant. But I am so excited to have an autumn baby. I'm due middle of October and I think it's like I'm most excited because it's that cozy time where you're home anyway and it's cold outside and you want to be tucked up at home, and I just feel like it's a really nice time to have a baby. I remember when I had Isla in April and Esmé in June, but mainly Isla in April, we had like a heat wave and it was so hot indoors, and then outdoors it was just so hot and bright. And I just remember panicking more, like, is she too hot? Was she not sleeping because she's too hot? What do I put her to bed in? And I remember panicking more having a summer hot season baby. But I just feel like October is just a really nice time. I always said to Chris I'd love an October baby, and I can't believe the last one will be an October baby. I'm really excited about it. Are you doing public or private when you're in labour? I've always just done the NHS. I've never ever gone private for any labours, because you have to go down to London to do that. There is no private places that have delivery suites north. I did have private antenatal, I did have private pregnancy care with Jace and Mila, which was really nice, but I don't feel like I needed it with this baby. And the place that I went private with Mila and Jace was in Leeds, and we live too far away from there now and travel too much. I'd missed too many appointments, so this has all been NHS. I love this one. Just all the children there at home with you is just so beautiful. I just love that comment, because it really is. It's like the biggest reward ever. And I'm so glad that I'm in a position to be at home and just have my children home with me. We decided to homeschool about 3 years ago, is it now? 3 or 4 years ago? Three years ago. And it was just the best decision I ever made. And I still have times when I wobble, and I didn't want to homeschool. I was 100% against it. Chris and the girls begged for so long, and I was like, no. But I'm so glad that I changed my mind. It's the best decision I've ever made. I know school is a godsend to so many people. Personally, I don't agree with many aspects of the school system. I'm not trying to turn this into a debate at all, but I just personally don't agree with a lot of aspects in the traditional schooling system, and I'm glad that my children are out of it. But I honestly just feel so lucky, so lucky. And I know that we get a lot of criticism about homeschooling, and a lot of people thinking that we don't educate our children, or they're not receiving an education, or they're going to be damaged adults, and those comments are a little bit frustrating sometimes. But I know the education that my children receive. I know what they do on a daily basis. I know how much they are thriving. I know how confident they are. I know how much more self-respect they have. I know how they're growing up at their own pace rather than at their peers' pace, or the pressure that they feel like they need to grow up at. I know that they're not controlled or bullied or put down, or all of those other things. I know how happy my children are at home, and I know how much they're thriving, and that's literally all that matters to me. It just really does make me feel so lucky that we are in a position to be able to homeschool our children and give them the best. Some of you will disagree with this, that's fine, but give them the best childhood possible. And I know, and I have no worries about the fact that I know they are having the best childhood possible. Okay, I'm just going to quickly go through. Have you ever had stretch marks in any of your pregnancies? And there was also another comment saying, why do you have no stretch marks? I'm so jealous. My stomach is blooming full of stretch marks. Don't be fooled. It's covered in them. They are clear. With Isabelle's pregnancy, when obviously I had like no stretch marks at all, and then I just burst out in loads at about 35 weeks, were bright purple, like angry red purple stretch marks. They're not like that anymore, and they haven't been like that in any of my subsequent pregnancies. They've just been silver and white. I'm due on the 18th of October with my fourth girl after 3 boys. Any tips? Good luck. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. It's kind of like me, but in reverse. I had 3 girls and then was pregnant with my 4th boy, and it's just the most magical feeling ever. Take it each day as it comes and enjoy it. I'm not sure if your kids are so sweet, but has there ever been any jealousy between your siblings? Never. I think again it's through the age gap. Maybe it will be this time with Mila being so young. I don't know. We'll just take each day as it comes, but we've not had that previously. Is there, I think this is the last big question I'm going to do, is there any risk of hip dysplasia with this baby? Oh, don't get me started. Honestly, I've been so paranoid. So paranoid. Like when I get home and have a scan, I'm so paranoid they're going to tell me that she's like breech, because I feel like that's what maybe caused Mila's hip dysplasia. She was breeched till quite late in the pregnancy, and I am really paranoid that this baby's going to have hip dysplasia, because not only was it horrendous going through what we went through with Mila at 6-month-old, if we had to wait till this baby got to 6-month-old with hip dysplasia and then go through the procedure, it's when Mila's kind of relapsed, and Mila will be 3 and she'll also be advised to go through the procedure, so we'll have 2 babies, or 1 baby and 1 toddler, going through treatment for hip dysplasia. So I am hoping and praying with absolutely everything that this baby does not have hip dysplasia. Obviously we'll deal with it if she does, but I know I'm just going to be sick with nerves when the doctor comes to test her hips. I don't know if the chance increases. There's conflicting info online. Obviously I've had 4 babies that didn't have it and 1 that did, so I don't know. I know it's more common in girls and this is a girl, but I don't know. But it's definitely something I've thought a lot about and I am nervous about. I did have a few more questions I wanted to answer, but I feel like this is a really long Q&A, as always when I do a Q&A. So I think that I'm going to end it here. I can do another Q&A if anyone's interested in seeing that. Just comment down below and let me know. I know some of you guys love the daily vlogs and some of you guys love the homey vlogs and some like the renovation vlogs and some like haul vlogs and some like Q&As, and I do try and keep a mix of all of those things in where possible. So I will do another Q&A very soon. Hope that answered a lot of your questions though. If you do have any other questions or any other comments or anything, comment them down below. I know I did answer quite a few controversial topics in this. I can't remember what they were. Co-sleeping, breastfeeding, homeschooling. If anyone does have any opinions that they would like to share, do it respectfully. There's no need to name call or be mean or nasty to other people that don't agree with your exact same opinions. We're all different, we're all individual, we all have our own parenting styles, and that's completely fine. It's completely normal. What works for one family doesn't work for the other, and it's okay to obviously share opinions. I really hate when people say, I had it yesterday on Instagram, you always get so stroppy when someone gives an opinion, but they're not giving an opinion. They're not saying, well, in my opinion, I think this. They're not doing that. They're saying, you don't homeschool, you're a useless parent, which is pretty much what this woman on Instagram did. It was a comment to one of Chris's thing. Nice sentiment, but what about the fact that what was it? What about the fact your kids don't get an education and Mila and Jace don't go to bed, don't have a routine and go to bed until whatever time? I don't know, moaning about Jason Mila's bedtime basically. That's not an opinion, that's an accusation. And then when someone commented saying, it wasn't me that commented, someone else had commented saying that the school system was failing, she thought, well, that's great, homeschool parents do a great job, but not these two, they don't give their kids an education. That's not an opinion. That's an accusation. And if you don't want somebody to get angry at your opinion, make sure it is just an opinion and not an accusation. And also I was going to answer a question actually about Mila and Jace's routine, because Mila and Jace are obviously in a bed now, and when we get home it'll be really nice for me and Chris to have that alone adult time. But I didn't want to answer it because I didn't want her to think, this person to think that I was answering it in relation to her saying you need to get Jace and Mila into a bedtime routine, because in my opinion I don't. Who made up the rule that children have to go to bed at 7 and get up at 7 on a morning? Who made up that rule? It wasn't me. Probably the same person that said they have to be in school for 6 hours a day and then come home and do 2 hours of homework and then an hour of reading and then 10 minutes playing before going to bed and getting up and doing the whole thing the next day. I strongly believe that as long as my children are getting the recommended amount of hours sleep per night for their age, it doesn't matter what hours those are. As long as they're getting their recommended hours and they're happy and they're thriving during the day and they're not sleeping all day because they've not had enough sleep on a night, as long as they're not doing that, then why does it matter to anyone else what those hours are? They don't have to mirror everyone else's child's hours of sleep. And I also did a lot of research on, I'm just going off on a tangent now, but I also did do a lot of research recently, not recently, it was about 2 years ago, but on letting your child take control of their own life. It's kind of like the Montessori style parenting, where you're letting your child recognize their own cues, like they're not robots. And routine works and structure works for some parents. Like, I'm not slating parents that like to stick to routine and structure, but for children that don't thrive on routine and structure, you know, I don't always agree with saying you're having dinner at 5 o'clock whether you're hungry or not, and you eat it all, and if you don't eat it all you're not having anything else. Like, I don't do that style parenting. I don't do that. You're going to bed at 7, even if you're not tired, get to sleep, and I'm getting you up at this time. It's just not, you know, it's just not the way we parent. And I did a lot of research on that a couple of years back on how it's actually really good and important to let your child recognise their own cues, their own hunger cues, their own tired cues, their own awake time cues, their own playtime cues, their own relaxed time cues, and letting them take control a little bit of their own life. Just because they're young children, it doesn't mean you have to absolutely control everything they do. In some cases, I know, like I just said, structure works for a lot of parents, but not all parents, which is what I'm saying. What works for one family doesn't work for another. Anyway, if you do have opinions, it's okay to state them down below. Please do. Please have discussion, but let's keep it polite and not accusatory. That's it for today's video, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 5 p.m. Good night.